ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Roundtable. My name is Robert Bannon, and you are listening to us on the Broadway Podcast Network, watching us on Broadway World or over here on social media. I'm really excited. One of my favorite things in the entire world are people that are able to write and perform a show, a one-person show, a comedic show, a serious show, someone who has the guts to get up on stage and say, I'm going to just tell my story. And the director that has to deal with someone who gets on stage and tells their story also deserves credit for this piece. So we're going to talk about Casualty of War. And before we even get started, go to unitedsolo.org and get your tickets and there's 2 dates. One date came on sale, and then they said, this is so great, we need a second date. And now there's 2 dates on sale. Maybe there'll be a third date. You better get a ticket, though, because you get a ticket. What is this show about? What does it mean to write copy for on-air ad promos that Sharon used to do? Austin, how did you get wrapped into this show? I have questions for all of these people. Sharon Lesser, welcome to the show. Austin Tooley, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Robert.
Sharon,
well, first of all, I feel honored to be occupying the same ether as Darlene Love. Okay.
Oh, no, Sharon. Me too.
I mean, you had Darlene Love on. Like, are you kidding? Like,
when you hear that people come to a show that you're doing or you have some, when I remember that people actually Google this or watch this show, it's terrifying to me.
It's just like, Darlene Love, really? He talked to her?
Yeah, because when I'm talking to you, I just think it's my mom and my grandma and my best friend watching. But when other people tell me they watch, my body gets very nervous. Do you feel nervous to do your work and do your show?
Yes. I'm terrified. There's a great story, but isn't that part of it? Okay. I don't think it's apocryphal. There's a story where I think there was a young actress, and she was co-starring, or she was in a show with Lynn Fontaine, and Lunton Fontaine. Remember, like, okay,
yes.
And she's sort of the ingenue, and she says to Lynn Fontaine, "Oh, Miss Fontaine, I'm so thrilled to be here. But it's so funny. I'm not nervous at all before I go on stage." And Lynn Fontaine says, "Oh dear, don't worry, you will be."
Well, touche. And that when I was joking and when we started this about a solo performance, and this is all everybody a part of the United Solo Festival, which is taking place. It does take a certain chutzpah and certain, I'm trying to use appropriate words.
Balls?
Balls. I was going to say balls. It takes a certain type of balls, Austin, to get up on stage. So Austin, how did you become a part of this? And then Sharon, how did you come up with this?
Okay, sure.
Sharon brought me into it. We have acquaintances in common, and at the end of 2021, actually, sort of fully in the midst of Zoom theater and development readings, Sharon actually did a live reading of this for friends and artists, and
everyone was vaccinated, okay? Because we believe in science.
We had our cards, and I just love what she had done with the show. I love the piece at that point, and so for the next 3.5 years, we worked together. I sort of came on board along with another associate as co-dramaturgs, and then as we approached the sort of most
way
recent
to
era.
Talk about your wife, Austin.
Yes, well, it's my wife, Anisa Rose Threlkeld. She's the now she's the solo dramaturg as I transition into directing.
Austin, by the way, he went to school, everybody, and he got an MFA in dramaturg from Columbia, which sounds very fancy, very hard, and expensive.
The last part for sure. But I mean, it's all the same thing. It's just another component of storytelling, and one that really lends itself, I think, to the development process. presents a challenge with projects like this, which come into the world so whole cloth. And also so personal of a subject. I mean, working with somebody's real life as theatrical material, that's a great challenge.
So Sharon, because when we look at thank you, Austin. You can direct me anytime. And this poster here that says written and performed by you, but my ELA skills, I didn't go to Columbia, but I see an American flag, a croissant, and a kind of the French flag. So, and I read about the show. So putting all that inference work together.
That's it.
Is this a true story about you and your son?
This is a true story. This is true, ripped from the headlines. So yes, I took my then 14-year-old son to the D-Day beaches of Normandy. I was raised by a history buff, and we have, as I say in the show, we've done trips like this before, where I try to combine, fun learning with great food and just, fun stuff to do. And so I had a good track record, and I took him, and it was a disaster. He was 14, and let's just say it did not go well. But we went to the D-Day beaches, we toured Normandy, we went to a lot of the sites, and then we ended up in Paris. And what comes about, so that's the linear nature of the trip. That's the plot. But what comes about are lots of, because he's choosing, he's not necessarily talking to me all the time, so I'm talking to me. What is coming up in my mind when I see these monuments, when I see these beaches where thousands and thousands of Americans, Canadians, Britons, Brits, Germans died for what was the preservation of a democratic world, kind of ironic and prescient today. And the fact that, my family's Jewish, and we have had our run-ins with antisemitism, and how that bubbled up in going to these places.
Yeah, as timely as ever, and impressing and important as ever, to talk about equality, rights, democracy, religion, anti-Semitism, And
there's also, how hard it is to be a parent. Like that's eternal, and a single mother and her son who's an adolescent, and just yeah. And and then there are tangents about art and what it is to be, I felt like we were making strides, and then this administration got back into office. So it's just all, as we go into rehearsals, and I'm trying to make sure I'm completely off book and I'm saying these words, it really is kind of frightening to me. It's funny, ha ha ha. The anecdotes are funny, but it's kind of frightening.
I'm sure it's really funny and entertaining and cute and sweet and deep and serious, but also scary. It has to be scary. UnitedSolo.org, while we're talking, everybody, and I want people to know that the dates, while you can save them, put them in your calendar, make sure you know that April 8th at 7 and April 15th at 8:30, and it's right on 42nd Street in Theater Row, and you can get a seat and see the show. And 68 minutes, no intermission. It's a blast and a good time. You'll have time.
Minutes. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll crave rosé, as I wrote the tagline, as the tagline says.
And I bragged about Austin, but Sharon is no slouch herself. I mean, she's an English lit degree, and she's been on 106 television shows, and she even said ripped by the headlines because she's been on Law and Order, because she's an actor in New York City. So that just goes to show that she's the real deal, because if you don't have that credit, you're not an actor.
it's a rite of passage.
It is. So Austin, how do you approach, if you're directing a show that's a full cast, then, there's certain blocking, there's certain entrances and exits, etc. You're creating a mood, a story, movements, and dialogue with one person. So it's got to be a different beast in terms of a director.
Yeah, it's a totally different beast, because the scene partner is the audience, and so to a certain degree, there is uncertainty baked into it because you just don't know, the group of people who are going to walk in the door, and the challenge is taking this wonderful piece of language and turning it into a conversation, a one-sided conversation, but opening up the audience and of course, creating theatrical images, but really what's happening is people are going to spend, 70 minutes in a room with an individual, and hopefully transform and develop a relationship in that space with the individual for that time. So I think the challenge is in anticipating where we can find opportunities to lock in with the audience. There's a lot of history in this play. There's a lot of wonderful anecdotes about the past, and Sharon, I know, loves history, and I love history, and I feel like the challenge is to remind everybody in the room that they love history as well, to make it spark and to make it relevant. So as a practical matter, yeah, it's tough, but it's also a really exciting challenge.
I love that. I love solo shows so much. I love storytelling in this way. And as a middle school teacher in real life, and dealing with 14-year-olds every day, I understand. I don't want to take them to the library. Never mind to the beaches of Normandy.
Bow down to you.
That's a day. That's a trip. So is the hardest part for you, is it the lines, is it the emotion, is it the sculpting of is it the fear, the vulnerability? What's hard about it?
I think it's all hard, and that's what makes it all wonderful, because I'm afraid of being afraid. I don't like, I like to challenge myself to overcome my fears and my obstacles. So, learning the lines is always a challenge, and I get very, very nervous. Like nothing motivates me like fear. And so, I think I've got the lines down. But it's also, I was talking to Austin about it, and we had a reading. It was just a very informal reading down at Caveat on the Lower East Side back in October, which is what gave me the courage to submit it to United Solo, because my big concern was that the telling of the history wouldn't land. It would not be, it wouldn't be interesting. It wouldn't draw people in. And it was the opposite. It was really, they were hanging on every word. And I don't necessarily think it was my delivery. I think it's because the history is fascinating. It is fascinating. The invasion of Normandy could have gone so wrong. It could have gone so wrong. And, as it was, Omaha Beach, they really did snatch victory out of the jaws of defeat. It was the casualties that were sustained were overwhelming. So, but I just thought it was very important because, as I mentioned in the show, three of my older, they've all passed away, but three of my father's older brothers all served. So this was, this has meaning. And people hung on. And I know that there are people, and then later on I mentioned the Roman Empire because that's related to Hitler. And I've got a friend coming to the April 8th show who's a huge Roman Empire, like is obsessed with the history of the Roman Empire. And I said, I have a section for you. So
well, what I love about it is you get the history, you get the personal story, you get the today, you get the past, and you put it all of that together and get to tell this story. Austin, as a dramaturg, is there a part of you that is like the annoying fact checker? No offense, I mean that in a loving way. Like, is that your job? Is it hard to tell someone like Sharon, who's bearing her story, writing it herself, performing it herself, and say, you know, Sharon, dramaturgically, I think, is that hard? How do you have that conversation?
You know what, in terms of the fact checking, there is no need to. Sharon has the history better than I do, but it is always a challenge to work with material that somebody has written and is performing themselves, because while it's Sharon up on stage, it's the character Sharon that the audience is experiencing, and figuring out how to best approach an idea or a piece of text for maximum impact in the moment. That's why it's taken us a good chunk of time to work through this. You know, Sharon is a prolific and fast writer, so we've seen a lot of changes and a lot of drafts over time. But it's always and because it's a play about Sharon's relationship with her son. You know, certainly I don't think they were awkward conversations, but it's a fun conversation starter to be like, you know what, I think your son needs to look a little better in this scene. You know, I think he needs to not be so mean.
And what I have so much respect for Austin and Anisa, as I did not go to grad school, and I love collaborating. I really do. I love collaboration, and especially with my writing, because I knew the challenge was to take this story and really make it theatrical. And I said to them, you guys, you know, take the lead. I am open to everything. And I actually would get so excited when I could figure out, I'd be working on my own, and I just email them and say something like, okay, I'm cutting this. We don't need it. And they were so excited. They're like, wow, she's doing it all herself. Because I just started thinking in terms, you know, it's not just about the story, it's about what's going to play, what will be dramatically engaging. And that's what you want. You want the audience to constantly be into it.
Well, I have so many, I'm thinking now that you brought this up, your son is a real person. So what does he think of this?
You know, when I told him I had written this, or I was writing this, he sort of looked away for a moment and he said, Mom, you know, neither of us were at our best on that trip.
Okay.
And I think he said that, let me see, 2021. So what was that? He was 17? He was 17 at the time. And I thought, okay, that is a very, very balanced, mature take on that. But after the trip, I mean, I was so beaten up. After the trip, I said to him, I am not going away with you until you're 30. I won't do it. And then, of course, in 2022, out of nowhere, and this is interesting to think about the journey we've taken. In 2022, he actually said, Mom, I mean, this was before the war, let's go to Israel. And I said, you do understand you're asking your mother to go to Israel. You're asking me to go on a trip with you. And he said, yeah. but let's make sure Topper comes. Topper is my long-term wonderful boyfriend who Jack absolutely adores. And it turned out to be it was a really profoundly beautiful trip. So I think he had matured, I had matured. We knew what our expectations were of each other, but and it's funny because every time he calls, he's like, "So what's going on?" And I'll tell him what's going on with the show. He's like, "That's nice. So what else is going on?"
Done. You want to deal with it?
I think while he is very proud of me, he is very he's concerned, obviously, that he's presented in a good light. And people who did see the caveat reading saw him at Thanksgiving and said, "No, really, Jack, you come out great. Like, you look great. You look great. You got to stick till the end. It's like The Brutalist. You got to wait till the end."
Oh, but thank God it's only a third of the time. That's the best part. So what is good about this show, everybody, is, like I said, 68 minutes, Sharon's story, real life story based on it made me think while I was reading about it. My parents, I didn't go because I was in college. My parents took my brother to Jamaica at the Ritz-Carlton. Fancy. Ritz-Carlton, snazzy. My brother was 15. He did not come out of the room until 4:30 every day. He told my parents, "I don't want to be at the beach with you. I don't want to be at the pool with you. I don't want to have dinner with you." My dad was like, "Why? There are people who would kill to be here with us." Mm-hmm. My brother couldn't have cared. Did not. So everybody has that story. But what amazes me, Austin and Sharon, and I read about Sharon's career, and you did other things, and you had this "what if I don't want to regret my life, I'm going to be an artist" moment in your life, which is very inspiring to all of us. Is that instead of waiting for artists out here, instead of waiting for somebody to pick up the phone and say, "Here's the TV gig, here's the play," you took an experience from your life, and now you've created a project for yourself, and now hire people and have people working with you that are coming from you had the idea one day to sit down and say, "Let's write it," and now the ball has rolled.
Yeah, I mean, I give our teacher, Leslie Avazian, the playwright Leslie Avazian, a lot of credit. She is my writing mentor, and she was a professor. She was one of Austin's professors up at Columbia. And when I got back from the trip, and I had been taking notes, by the way, this, the entire trip, because I thought, it's my therapist. It's my portable therapist. I'm just writing. And I told her about it, and she said, "Write the show. Write a show. Write it." She said, "It can be a book, it can be a show, just write it." And so I started writing it. But I think it's for anyone who is a creative person and who has another skill other than acting, it is incumbent upon you. Yes, is that the word? Incumbent upon you to, just because we don't always have the ability to, things can be slow in this business. It's a tough business. And no, the phone isn't always ringing off the hook, and you're not always self-taping. And I just think for any creative person, it is imperative to utilize, to have an outlet and to make stuff. That's what we like to do.
Yep.
That's why we started doing this when we were little.
Yep.
We liked making stuff.
Yep. I couldn't say it better. And when people ask me about acting or this platform or singing, go out there and be your yes, make something. Austin, do you write?
I do write. Yeah, I haven't focused on that as much in recent years, but
I'm scared of the blinking cursor, Austin. I don't want oh my God, I gotta type something like I'm in high school.
Oh man.
It's tough. And actually, one thing I really admire about what Sharon has done here is just have the guts to do it, especially because I'm sure that I'm not alone in this, but the experience of going through the pandemic and sort of being stuck with my phone and my electronics and my TV shows and so forth and so on was that the cursor on the screen became more and more of a, bugaboo. It's certainly harder now, but at the same time, I'm grateful that I have other outlets, other I guess skills or experience that I can go through, so that I'm still a part of the collaborative process of theater making.
Well, you both are such a joy. You're both so much fun. I'm sure this show is going to be such a joy. UnitedSolo.org at April 8th, and then an encore presentation by popular demand on April 15th.
Tickets on sale.
Tickets are on sale.
And by the way, and if you're equity, it is a showcase code production. So if you are equity and there are tickets available, they're free. Stand by.
They're free. I'm, come on, people. Let's go. I'll be in New York too. So everybody, listen. So I'll see you, Sharon, in Austin. And I'm here. I'm sold on this whole idea. Just you said 14-year-old kids, and I said, oh, that's funny stuff. I get it. And then, and we're going to stay up to date with all things that Sharon and Austin are doing. We'll link everything that we can find about all Sharon's website, Austin's information, everything that you can find. Their social security number, their Medicare, that's going to be gone. Medicaid, that's also gone.
All of it.
All of that will be below. No, all of their all of the stuff that is that's available for their career, we'll find them below, and the link to get tickets is below too. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Congratulations, break legs.
Robert, thank you so much.
This
was so much fun.
It's an honor. It was a joy.
And good luck with take care.